Part 60. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 591. Brother Tiger, there is only one God-level warrior at most. We don't need to be afraid of them, a subordinate shouted. In general, God-level warriors are much stronger than Saint Kings, but Saint Kings are not as weak as imagined. In the game, the HP of players is greatly weakened before they become gods, but this is not the case in reality. Generally speaking, it is difficult for God-level warriors to kill Saint Kings in seconds. As the saying goes, two fists cannot beat four hands. If a group of Saint Kings attack, even God-level warriors will not get much benefit. Yamenhu nodded in a deep voice. He was too out of control before, but now he has regained his composure. He thought to himself that if he really couldn't beat them, he would break the wall and escape. After all, he was also a God-level warrior. If he wanted to leave, even if the other party had a God-level warrior, he couldn't stay. Among the 13 people, Menhu was the strongest, but the least courageous. Under the anxious waiting of Menhu and others, clear footsteps gradually sounded outside the door. Then with a bang, Yang Tian kicked the door open and walked in with Heezy and the other 5 people. The two sides confronted each other. You are really stubborn. You refused to let us go even though you were sleeping in the open for days and nights. You are worthy of being the loyal dogs raised by the Alliance. I'm afraid you will think that the Alliance farts and it smells good. Menhu stared at Yang Tian and Heezy and said sarcastically. Stop talking nonsense. You have killed people. If we let you go, I don't know how many innocent people will die in your hands, Heezy roared. Boy, you have a strong sense of justice. Well, there are dozens of innocent women in the corner. If you commit suicide on the spot, I will let them go. Menhu stared at Heezy with a teasing look and said sarcastically. His eyes swept over the dozens of women in the corner, and Heezy frowned. Do you think I'm so naive? You were once members of the Alliance. You must know that the Alliance team has casualty indicators for ordinary hostages. If their sacrifice can save your lives, it will undoubtedly eliminate some harm to society and avoid greater casualties, so their death is worth it, Heezy said calmly. Ha ha. Menhu laughed wildly, tears came out of his eyes. It's really high-sounding, a hypocritical righteous appearance, but in fact, don't you treat ordinary people as ants like us? As the two talked, dozens of women in the corner were all disheartened. They could roughly see that Menhu and others were evil people, while Heezy was on the side of justice. But Heezy didn't care about the safety of the lives of these hostages. We are guilty of killing ordinary people, but you kill ordinary people for justice. Haha, what a bullshit theory. The Alliance is too arrogant. Only the state officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps. Double standards, and you are just the running dogs of the Alliance. Menhu was hysterical. You. Heezy and the others were stunned, but they had no way to refute. Haha, trash is trash, always trying to find excuses and reasons for your mistakes. Although I don't agree with the Alliance's point of view, the Alliance is really not as trash as you. At least the Alliance was forced to do so, but you are reckless and killing innocent people. If everyone in the world is as reckless as you, the world would have perished long ago without the Zerg invasion, Yang Tian sneered. The tiger was angry out of shame. Some people are wrong but don't want to admit it, always wanting to find excuses, or simply blame the world. The tiger is such a person, and when the reasons and excuses are torn apart, he will be furious. Brother Yang, you. Heezy and the others saw that Yang Tian made the tricky tiger speechless and furious with just a few words, and they immediately admired him. Especially Yang Tian's sentence, although I don't agree with the Alliance's point of view. Tisk tisk, as a member of the Alliance, he actually teased the Alliance. This is really cool. The only girl among the 5 people looked at Yang Tian with eyes full of admiration and infatuation. Little did they know that Yang Tian was just a savage, not among them, so he teased him casually. Reckless. Haha, I am reckless. The world is about to end, and I want to live a wonderful life in the last days. What's wrong with me? The tiger laughed wildly, and at the same time, purple fighting spirit lotuses surged around his body, and his breath surged. God level, it's actually a god level strongman. Beast, you have such strength, but you are determined to do evil. He and others were shocked and angry. They didn't dare to act rashly because they saw that the tiger had many people, but they didn't expect that the tiger was actually a god-level strongman. This is tricky. After all, even if they knew that Yang Tian was a god-level strongman who could compete with the tiger, but the other Saint King strongmen, they still had a disadvantage in numbers. Die, the tiger roared and suddenly attacked, not giving Heezy and others time to think. The tiger swung the sword in his hand, slashing out a huge silver blade of light, with a sound of breaking through the air, and quickly crushed towards Yang Tian, Heezy and others. Heezy and the other 5 were horrified. Even if they didn't die from the tiger's attack, they would suffer heavy losses. At this moment, a phantom of a divine turtle suddenly appeared in the room, with Yang Tian as the center, covering everyone. Moreover, a black protective shield appeared on the 5 Heezy and the dozens of women in the corner. You know, this reality is not like a game, there is no team system. Whoever is attacked will be injured. It is also possible to accidentally kill your comrades. Yang Tian's divine turtle protection has a very large range, covering everyone in the room, but he can selectively protect some people. At this time, the 5 people of Heezy and the dozens of women all have protective shields. Yang Tian will only protect them, not Menhu and others. The divine turtle protection is a protective skill. When Yang Tian releases it, it does not increase defense itself, but all the attacks on people with protective shields in the divine turtle phantom are borne by him. Bang! In the divine turtle phantom, the huge light blade slashed by Menhu flew all the way and slashed Yang Tian and Heezy and the 5 people. The 5 people of Heezy were all covered with black protective shields, as if they were not attacked. That magical feeling made them surprised and happy. And Yang Tian took 7 steps back. Of course, Yang Tian himself was not injured at all, but only 1/3 of the bone shields around his body were damaged. And the light blade hit Yang Tian, exciting a shock wave, like an invisible air wave, sweeping the whole scene. Bang, bang, bang. The 13 large beds were all crushed and exploded, and the ground and the surrounding walls were all cracked like spider webs, which was shocking. The 5 people of Heezy and the dozens of women were naturally not injured. Yang Tian, Menhu's 12 men, and even Menhu himself were also injured by the shock wave. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 592. In the game, the shock wave you trigger will not hurt yourself or your friends, but only the enemy. In reality, the shock wave you trigger has no concept of friend or foe. It will directly sweep around and everyone in the range will be hurt. Of course, the power of the shock wave is not strong. Yang Tian and Menhu were fine, and the 12 men only felt their blood boiling slightly. Of course, if Yang Tian hadn't protected the dozens of women, they would definitely have been crushed by the shock wave. After all, ordinary people's bodies are too weak. Brother Yang, what are you doing? Heezy and the other 5 were all startled. However, before they finished speaking, Yang Tian had already transformed into a ghost assassin and ran out. This kid is weird, let's go together, Menhu roared, and his men immediately responded. The next moment, Yang Tian's figure suddenly passed by one of Menhu's men, blood immediately gushed out of the throat of that man, his eyes widened, and his body fell to the ground weakly. He has lost his vitality and turned into a corpse, and even some items in the game have exploded. The body of the awakened person is a storage device, which stores all the items in the game. When the awakened person dies, all those items will explode. Of course, the awakened person's body is a storage device, and this statement is only relative to the items in the game. The awakened person cannot store things in reality in his body. The awakened person is the product of the Taegzu game, and his life is closely related to Taegzu. In the Taegzu game, there is no such setting as weaknesses and vital points. In reality, there are obviously weaknesses, among which the weaknesses of humans are obviously the temples, throats, and hearts. A strong person will also fall if he is attacked by a weak person. Therefore, it is very important to protect the weak points. In the game, the so-called operation and positioning is to avoid the enemy's attack as much as possible. In reality, it is called body skills. Facing the enemy's attack, even if you can't avoid it, you must try to avoid the attack on the vital points. It is also worth mentioning that in reality, after Yang Tian transformed into a skeleton, he had almost no weaknesses, which was the most terrifying. Yang Tian's strength was obviously very strong, and it was no problem for him to beat the Holy King. But attacking the enemy's weaknesses was naturally more labor-saving. Yang Tian was like a dragon, and in the blink of an eye he knocked down 3 more people. The 4 people who fell down and lost their lives either had their hearts pierced or their throats exploded, and their deaths were extremely miserable. This scene made Menhu and others tremble with fear. Yang Tian's actions were too decisive, and his methods were cruel and ruthless, even more cruel than them. After all, Yang Tian had lived 2 lives and experienced too much. Although he was not as cold-blooded and ruthless as the ancient kings, he could not attack ordinary people, but he was merciless to the enemy. Roar! For a moment, 5 people suddenly surrounded Yang Tian, waving their swords and knives, and slashed at Yang Tian's head. As still as a mountain. Yang Tian stopped all his movements instantly, and his body surface was shining with golden red light, as solid as a rock, with an inexplicable sense of heaviness. Bang, bang, bang. 5 weapons slashed at Yang Tian at the same time, but Yang Tian did not move, as if he had not suffered any damage at all. On the contrary, the 5 people were each shocked back 2 or 3 steps by the shock wave, their knuckles were numb, their eyes were wide open, and they gasped. This guy. The 5 people were horrified, their faces were covered with cold sweat, their whole bodies were trembling, and the weapons in their hands were clanging. In an instant, as the golden red light on his body disappeared, Yang Tian moved again, waving his dagger and spinning rapidly. Rotating stab. Puff, puff, puff. The throats of the 5 people were all blooming, blood gushed out, and they fell down again in the blink of an eye, losing their vitality, and a large number of items exploded. This brother Yang is too scary. Looking at the one-sided slaughter in front of him, Heza was shocked. When Yang Tian fought with all his strength, his aura could not be hidden and was exposed. Yang Tian's aura was indeed that of a god-level strongman, and it was even stronger than that of an ordinary god-level strongman. Not to mention, Yang Tian's body movements were as fast as lightning, his methods were decisive and ruthless, and he would kill people at will. This kind of person is far more terrifying than an ordinary strongman. Brother Yang is simply a fighting machine, his strength far exceeds that of an ordinary god-level strongman, and he should be highly valued by the Alliance. I didn't expect that we would have the honor to cooperate with Brother Yang. The only girl among the 5 people, holding her red face in her hands, looked at Yang Tian with blurred eyes, like a crazy girl. At this time, Yang Tian killed several people in succession. At this time, Menhu seemed to have become a commander without troops. Menhu's eyes swept over the bodies of many subordinates lying on the ground, with extremely miserable deaths, and his eyes twitched wildly. He was not angry, but afraid. He was afraid of death, and now that he saw Yang Tian's terrifying methods, he was naturally scared to death, and he didn't even have the courage to fight Yang Tian. Hey, it's your turn. As a god-level warrior, you don't even have the courage to fight, do you? You are just a piece of trash with no skills. You kill ordinary people without mercy. Yang Tian locked his eyes on Menhu and said angrily. For a moment, Yang Tian's body aroused a terrifying aura, which shocked Meng Hu, and the 5 people of Hazy Eye were afraid. Dozens of women in the corner trembled and knelt on the ground. Meng Hu was the first to wake up. After all, he was a god-level warrior and it was impossible for him to be overwhelmed by Yang Tian's momentum. Meng Hu roared. The tiger suddenly got lucky, roared loudly, and the rolling sound wave produced a real shock wave visible to the naked eye, sweeping out in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. The surrounding walls burst open. It was a dark night outside and it was still raining heavily. At this time, Yang Tian suddenly felt dizzy and confused. The roar of the tiger is the bloodline skill that the tiger relies on most. It has a stun effect in the game, and in reality, it also has a similar effect. Hey, at this time, Yang Tian fell into a brief dizziness and had no strength to backhand. For the tigers, this is his last chance to kill Yang Tian. Unfortunately, even though Yang Tian was dizzy, he was still as motionless as a mountain. He was surrounded by a glazed bone shield, purple fighting spirit, and golden red light protection. More importantly, Yang Tian transformed into a ghost assassin. The ghost assassin is a skeleton assassin. Skeletons have no weak points. Yang Tian was obviously dizzy and had no strength to resist, but he was extremely safe. Tiger knew that he could not kill Yang Tian in a short time, so he snorted and turned around to run away. Stop, Hazy and the other 5 shouted loudly and rushed towards the tiger at the same time. With the protective shield guarded by the Yang Tian divine turtle, they will not be attacked or harmed, and they are invincible. At this time, they were naturally not afraid of the tiger and rushed out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 593. Hazy and the others roared and chased after the tiger. Unfortunately, the tiger was faster and disappeared into the dark rainy night outside the house in an instant. Hazy and the others smiled bitterly and stopped chasing. They knew that Yang Tian's divine turtle protection had a limited range. If they really chased out, they would lose the protection of the divine turtle protection and become the tiger's prey. Soon, Yang Tian woke up. His cold eyes swept around and Yang Tian was surprised and said, "Where is the person?" Hazy and the others smiled bitterly, pointed at the dark rainy night outside the house, and said helplessly, "He ran away." Yang Tian snorted coldly, "Why not chase?" Hazy and the other 5. Yang Tian said no more, and quickly rushed to the dark rainy night outside the house, and used his divine sense to search for the tiger's breath. Fortunately, after such a short few seconds, the tiger did not escape too far. That guy has caught up with me, but he's so slow. He's obviously a god-level warrior, stronger than me, but he's so slow, just like an average saint king. The tiger sneered, mocking him, not knowing that Yang Tian was only at the saint king level. Although Yang Tian had extraordinary combat power, he was not much different from a saint king in other aspects. Dochi turns into wings. At this time, Yang Tian also realized that his speed was not as fast as the tiger, so he quickly switched to the Dochi form, causing the Dochi lotus around his body to transform into a pair of huge purple wings inserted behind his back. In an instant, Yang Tian's speed suddenly soared, and a purple light flashed in the dark rainy night. The speed suddenly increased. Dochi turns into wings. Stupid. Dochi turns into wings consumes a lot of energy, and can only last for 10 seconds at most. And in reality, exhausting energy means that physical strength is exhausted, which is equivalent to falling into a weak state and being preyed on by others. The tiger remained unmoved and rushed forward without haste. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Yang Tian kept getting closer to the tiger. Finally, 10 seconds passed, and Yang Tian could see the tiger in front of him with his naked eyes. And the tiger had already twitched and was scared to death. Impossible. It's been more than 10 seconds, why can he still maintain the Doqi wings? Feeling Yang Tian's breath getting closer and closer, the tiger was horrified and looked back, only to see Yang Tian not far behind him, at most 30 meters away. Damn it, damn it, damn it. The tiger was so scared that his face was distorted, and he quickly transformed the Doqi lotus around his body and turned on the Doqi wings. For a while, his speed soared again, and he distanced himself from Yang Tian at a speed visible to the naked eye every second. It's a pity that he is not Yang Tian after all. He doesn't have the heart of the god tree in his body, and his Doqi wings can only last for 10 seconds at most. No. The tiger lasted for 9 seconds, and immediately felt the strength and energy in his body rapidly disappearing, and he was so scared that he quickly turned off the Doqi wings. After all, he didn't want to fall into a weak state in such a dangerous situation. After the tiger dispersed the Doqi wings, his speed returned to normal. And Yang Tian still kept the Doqi wings, and once again closed the distance with the tiger. Such a turn made the tiger feel hopeless. After a while, Yang Tian finally caught up with the tiger, and in a flash, he came in front of the tiger, and there was an undercurrent under his feet. The terrible gravity of the undercurrent caused the tiger's speed to drop again. Yang Tian was sure that he couldn't escape, so he transformed his Doqi again, from Doqi wings to Doqi lotus, which stirred his body. After all, Doqi wings only increase speed, while Doqi lotus increases combat power and defense. Haha, I think I am a god-level strong man of the generation of the tiger, but I have to die here today. The tiger laughed at himself, extremely unwilling. If I had known this would happen, why would I have died in the battlefield in the future battle with the Zerg? It would probably be more meaningful, right? Yang Tian said calmly. The tiger was startled and asked, "Boy, do you really believe that there is still a future for mankind?" Yang Tian laughed and said, "Of course I believe that with a seed of hope, people will not fall and be confused. Otherwise, wouldn't they be the same as a loser like you?" The tiger smiled sadly, as if he had untied a knot in his heart before he died. Looking at the tiger's current appearance, Yang Tian certainly couldn't show mercy. He rushed over and cut the tiger's neck with a throat slash. In the dark rainy night, blood was scattered, the tiger lost its vitality, and a large number of items exploded. Yang Tian cancelled the undead transformation and restored his original appearance. With one hand, he grabbed the tiger's body that wanted to fall. At the same time, Yang Tian also summoned the black tortoise under him. Ding ding dong dong, the items exploded by the tiger were all caught by the huge tortoise shell of the black tortoise. Now the black tortoise has also learned to pick up things automatically. After a while, he cleaned up the spoils on his tortoise shell. Of course, all those things entered Yang Tian's body. Yang Tian was not coveting Menhu's legacy. In fact, Yang Tian had everything he needed and was rich. He just didn't want these things to fall into reality and cause unnecessary trouble. After a while, Yang Tian took the black tortoise back into his body, carried the body of Menhu, and returned to the 18th floor of the building again. Bang! Yang Tian casually threw the body of Menhu on the ground. At this time, the battle was over, and Yang Tian had naturally dispersed the protection of the divine turtle. "Brother Yang, you are so awesome," Hezi and the other 5 gave a thumbs up, not sparing their praise and admiration for Yang Tian. Thank you, sir." Seeing that the crisis was resolved, the dozens of women in the corner stood up and bowed to Yang Tian. They knew that Yang Tian was not an ordinary person, and they could not find a suitable name for him, so they could only call him sir. "Yes." Yang Tian nodded casually, looked at Hezi and the other 5, and said, "Leave the aftermath to you. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first." He knew that Hezi and the other 5 must have carried amnesia needles. Those dozens of women, knowing things they shouldn't know, must have been injected. Brother Yang, thank you for this time. There are no blacklist members in the city now, but there are still many blacklist members. Brother Yang, if you have time. Hazy, I said excitedly. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Yang Tian's sneer. Stop. I just said that there are many things in the alliance that I dare not agree with, and I don't want to do. Do you think I'm kidding? Yang Tian said coldly. He disagreed with the views of the alliance, so naturally he had a hard time having a good impression of many people in the alliance. Of course, except for Lu Yan, Yang Tian knew that Lu Yan was much kinder than ordinary people. It's just that Lu Yan is in the alliance and can't be as free and easy as Yang Tian. The saying goes, when you are in the arena, you have no choice. This is probably the case. Of course, Yang Tian must admit that some of the alliance's practices are not wrong, but he just can't stand them. Hiss. Hearing this, the 5 people of Hezi all took a breath. Only then did they understand that Yang Tian was not joking just now, but really couldn't stand some of the alliance's behaviors. And if the alliance can't control Yang Tian's terrifying strength, it will be a difficult problem. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 594. But soon, they immediately retracted this ridiculous idea. What a joke, Brother Yang killed the blacklist, hated evil, and also protected the safety of hostages in the area. This kind of person is much kinder than many alliance leaders, and it is impossible for him to go astray. As long as this is guaranteed, it is enough. Let's go. Yang Tian didn't know what the others were thinking, shook his head, turned off the communicator, took it off and put it back in his trouser pocket. Immediately, a white light flashed, and Yang Tian disappeared in front of everyone. The dozens of women in the corner were all shocked. Hezi and the other 5 looked indifferent. They knew that Yang Tian only had a teleportation array in reality. There are many teleportation arrays in Taixu, including private teleportation arrays, guild teleportation arrays, alliance teleportation arrays, and imperial cities. Guild teleportation arrays rely on the guild system. Alliance teleportation arrays rely on the alliance system. Imperial cities rely on the imperial system. In reality, there is no concept of game system. So in reality, the only thing that works is a private teleportation array. Making a private teleportation array is not a particularly rare ability. You can find relevant NPCs in the game to learn. Yang Tian learned it from Xian Yuan longer. To make a private teleportation array, you also need to make a dedicated teleportation stone. The dedicated teleportation stone is a permanent item and can be used multiple times in reality. With the dedicated teleportation stone, you can activate the corresponding transfer array and then teleport over. The activation time is 5 seconds. During these 5 seconds, you can do anything. Even if you are hacked to death, your body will be teleported to that teleportation array together with the dedicated teleportation stone. Anyone who has a dedicated teleportation stone can activate the corresponding teleportation array and then teleport over. It is called a private teleportation array, but if the teleportation array is large enough and the dedicated teleportation stone is mass-produced and wholesaled, it can actually form a public teleportation array. 1 year later, this kind of public teleportation array will be seen everywhere, and many means of transportation will become scrap metal. 1 year later, the Earth will completely enter the supernatural age from the technological age. At the same time, it is also a chaotic era, which is called the Doomsday Era by people. It is also worth mentioning that private teleportation arrays or public teleportation arrays cannot cross the universe. In other words, they cannot cross planets. For example, if Yang Tian is on the insect star at this time, he cannot activate the teleportation array on the Earth with his exclusive teleportation stone and cannot teleport. And there is a space wormhole in the Earth pyramid. That should be a two-way teleportation array, or a two-way teleportation gate. there must be a corresponding space wormhole on a certain insect star. The Zerg on that insect star can come to the Earth through the space wormhole on the insect star, and the Zerg on the Earth should also be able to return to the insect star through the space wormhole on the Earth. In short, those two space wormholes, that is, a pair of two-way teleportation gates, can cross the universe and can cross planets. There are billions of insect stars in the insect domain, and there should be differences among them. Among them, the insect star that poses the greatest threat to the Earth is none other than the insect star connected to the space wormhole in the Earth pyramid. Because only the Zerg on that insect star can be teleported here at will. Yang Tian once thought about teleporting to the worm star through the space wormhole in the pyramid to find out. But this matter is of great importance, and Yang Tian did not dare to try it casually. At least one more year will pass, until he reaches the end of Taixu and becomes a third-level god, that is, a third-level cosmic warrior. In the previous life, Yang Tian's parents died, and he was alone and helpless. He and Huangmao, two brothers in distress, fell on the worm star together. In this life, Yang Tian's parents are safe and he is in love with Lu Yan. Through falling in love with the kind Lu Yan, Yang Tian's heart became brighter and brighter, and he learned to take responsibility and shoulder responsibilities. On Earth, Yang Tian has only two private teleportation arrays. One is in his own home, and the other is in the ancient Egyptian desert. At this time, Yang Tian naturally returned to his home, took a shower, and changed into a set of dry clothes. System, you have discovered the world ocean. Yang Tian went online again, and as the system prompt sounded in his ears, Yang Tian appeared at the coordinates where he had gone offline before. That is an unnamed island in the world ocean, and this island is quite close to the Japanese war zone. Oh my god, you can eat for 2 hours alone. How much did you eat? Huang Mao and his friends were all slaying monsters nearby. Seeing Yang Tian finally come online, Huang Mao immediately scolded him. Sorry, I was too hungry and ate a little too much. Yang Tian ignored Huang Mao and explained to others. Yes, Yao Fei Long Lu and others nodded. Ren Shui Ji apologized, what else can I say? Besides, that's Shui Ji. Let alone being late, even if he stood me up, I dare not say much. Oh, you dare to ignore me, Huang Mao was still scolding. He was the only one in the entire Shui League who dared to treat Yang Tian like this. However, Yang Tian ignored him again. Huang Mao curled his lips, feeling boring, and said no more. At this time, Yang Tian took out the search device and found that the closest one was the 3 red dots in the Japanese war zone. Huang Mao, everyone, there are 3 more divine beasts in the Japanese war zone. Do you dare to go? Yang Tian asked with a smile. Of course, there is nothing to be afraid of, Huang Mao said. Let's be the 8th Root Army and kill them. Xiao Fei was a little excited. Everyone was speechless. System, you found the Spiral Sea and gained 50,000 experience points. After several hours of flying, Yang Tian and his 6 companions entered a Spiral Sea area, and the sea surface was full of whirlpools. Unfortunately, Yang Tian and his 6 companions all flew in the air instead of taking a boat, so they were naturally not afraid of those whirlpools. All major war zones flow into the world ocean from the branch seas. From the war zone, you can reach the world ocean through the branch seas. Similarly, starting from the world ocean, you can reach the war zone through a certain war zone branch sea. The Spiral Sea where Yang Tian and his 6 companions are currently located is the Japanese branch sea, which is similar to the map structure of the Relic Sea of the Chinese branch sea. There are also hundreds of islands in it, with levels ranging from 80 to 180. Of course, Yang Tian and his 6 companions are coming in from the world ocean at this time, crossing the river, and the nearby islands are all high-level islands. The further forward, the closer to the Japanese war zone, the lower the level of the islands. Yang Tian and his 6 companions were flying at a high speed, 10 yards above the sea. As mentioned above, Any player above level 180 cannot hide their ID, and their ID and battle zone logo will be displayed on their heads. Yang Tian and his 6 companions came in so blatantly that they were immediately noticed by some Japanese warriors. "Asshole, aren't those players from the Chinese battle zone? Are you looking for death by coming to our Japanese battle zone?" Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 595. Now many powerful warriors in war zones are conquering the world's oceans. Everyone agrees that the world war will start only after reaching full level and becoming a god. Now the top velvet suit in the world level list is only level 199. There is no full level, and there are many 8-winged angels. The 8-winged demons didn't even move. How dare they jump like this? I don't know whether to live or die. Many Japanese strongmen sneered and formed a siege, gathering towards the 6 Yang Tians. They are all powerful men above level 190 or above. Tisk, we been targeted before we even entered the Japanese war zone. Yang Tian laughed. What does it matter? In our team, if any one of us goes out, he will be the one to beat 100 people. In this Japanese war zone, we will still walk sideways. Huang Mao disdainfully. Ha ha. The 6 people in Yang Tian talked and laughed happily, as if they were not surrounded by many strong Japanese people, but they were surrounded by many strong Japanese people. Only strength can bring such extreme self-confidence. Muddy waters. Number 1 on all lists. Change your past mistakes. 8-winged angel, one of the top 5 in the world's combat rankings and combat power rankings. Qin Yu. I have never heard of this person, but he is also an 8-winged angel. Qin Yu has just been promoted to the 8-winged angel and has not yet gone to the training ground to drive stakes to refresh the highest combat power, so he has not been on the world battle list. The battle strength list is not famous. But at this time, many Japanese strongmen saw his 8-winged angel form, their mouths twitched, and they were secretly shocked. When did there become so many 8-winged angels? Even in our great Japan war zone, aren't there only 3 or 5? This Chinese team has such a luxurious lineup. I am afraid it is the most powerful team in the Chinese theater. After flying closer, many Japanese experts saw the red names above Yang Tian and others, recognized their identities, and were shocked again. Red name. It does not mean that all 6 people in Yang Tian have famous names. In fact, they are not at all. However, the stance of each war zone is hostile by default. For both players, the other player's ID is displayed in red. Similarly, when the 6 Yang Tian people looked at these Japanese strong men, they all had red IDs. Seeing the enemy's mouth corners twitching and full of shock, Yang Tian, Xiaofei, and others all smiled. Only Huang Mao was unhappy. Damn it, even if I am not the boss in the Water League team, I am still the second in command, and now I am not even qualified to be named. Huang Mao thought this in his heart, and when he looked at those strong Japanese men, he suddenly felt that their faces were even more hateful. Ho! As a low dragon roar sounded, Huang Mao summoned the green dragon, then turned over and rode on it, instantly triggering the Dragon Knight's dragon control talent, increasing all attributes by 30%. You little Japanese, dog eyes can't see the true god, Huang Mao snorted coldly, wearing the flame armor released by Qin Yu, riding a green dragon, and took the initiative to rush towards the enemy group. Charge! Suddenly, the green dragon carried the yellow hair and turned into a green lightning, instantly breaking into the enemy group. This charge is originally a knight's skill, but if the knight controls a mount, it can also be used in combination with the mount, and it is more powerful and has an obvious knock-up effect. Puff puff. The yellow-haired green dragon knocked away more than a dozen people from the enemy group, killing them instantly. Those dozen people fell in mid-air, losing their levels and equipment. In Taixu, before the player becomes a god, his HP is greatly weakened by the system. Saint King players generally only have 100 or 200 million HP. Therefore, the combat power of players who have not become gods is much higher than their endurance, which means that the battles between them are almost instant kills, with instant results. Before players become gods, they are all ants, with only a few exceptions. And in front of a group of Japanese strong men, the strongest among them is the Holy King, and the weakest is even the Spirit King. The Soul King player is an ant among ants in the later stage. Kill. After Huang Mao took the lead, the battle between the two sides was about to break out. But in just a short moment, most of the Japanese strongmen fell and were completely defeated. In the Water Alliance team, Xiaofei and Qin Yu are 8-winged angels. After they ate the 3-color spirit peach, their HP was as high as over 2 trillion. This is not on the same level as the Holy King players. Yang Tian has a bone shield. Huang Malang, 6 wolves, and 3 others each wore Qin Yu's 3 elemental shields. There are 6 members of the Water Alliance team, and each person's HP plus shield is at least 300 billion. Even the Green Dragon under Huang Mao has more than 500 billion HP. After all, before becoming a god, only the player's HP will be weakened by the system, but NPCs and monsters will not be weakened. The higher the HP, the higher the survival rate. On this basis, in addition to Long Lu, the other 5 members of the Water Alliance team each possess the combat power of killing gods. Facing ordinary Holy King players, and even the Immortal King and Spirit King, they are simply defeated by everything. Gravity. Qin Yu waved his hand casually, and a vortex appeared in the center of the battlefield. The vortex gradually expanded and spread to a radius of 100 yards in an instant, covering everyone present. The center of the vortex stimulated a strong adsorption force, causing many Japanese experts present to lean towards the center uncontrollably. If it were a group of monsters with low IQs, they would probably be gathered in the center of the vortex in an instant. But those Japanese strongmen are obviously not stupid. They will try their best to move outward and use outward movement as much as possible to resolve the strong adsorption force. But that was in vain. Qin Yu's gravity was too strong, and their outward movement only slightly slowed down their approach to the center of the vortex. Gravity itself does no harm, and can only last for 3 seconds at most. But before 3 seconds had passed, the last group of Japanese warriors were all gathered in the center of the vortex. Those Japanese warriors knew that they had become living targets, and they were sweating profusely. What a terrifying lineup. We are not opponents at all. We are just embarrassing the Japanese theater by trying to stand out. Damn it, because we are too weak, those people probably think that there are no strong men in our Greater Japan theater. Many Japanese warriors were horrified. Sky-high pillar of fire. After Qin Yu threw out gravity, he anticipated the subsequent situation and immediately began to chant magic. Now he suddenly struck out. Bang, bang, bang. I saw that from the solace of many Japanese warriors. Thick pillars of fire burst out continuously, knocking countless of them away and killing them instantly. After Qin Yu's sky-high pillar of fire, the group of Japanese warriors were almost wiped out. Only a few people were left. They were lucky enough not to be hit by the dense fire pillars. Otherwise, with Qin Yu's current combat power, the Saint King would not be able to resist. Explosion. Wind blade. Afterwards, Qin Yu and Green Dragon each made up for it and quickly killed the last few lucky ones in the enemy group. So far, this wave of Japanese strongmen who surrounded them was completely annihilated, and all members lost their levels and equipment. Countless spoils of war exploded and fell to the bottom of the sea along with many corpses, and most of the spoils of war, except for coins, floated to the surface of the sea. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi San. Chapter 596. This wave of team battle started and ended in less than a minute. The 6 men from Yangtian killed hundreds of Japanese warriors. It was too easy and not enjoyable at all. Between the war zones, the stance is hostile by default. As players in the Chinese theater, the 6 Yangtians killed those Japanese players and gained a lot of merit points. Merit points are used to increase military rank. It's a pity that the 6 Yangtians are all imperial marshals, which is already the highest military rank and cannot be promoted further. It's so boring. These little Japanese are too weak. Defeating them is not even a warm-up. Qin Yu took back his staff and smacked his lips with some lingering thoughts. The others also had similar expressions. I'm afraid they themselves don't believe that they are already super powerful. Ha, we have emerged from the China war zone and are already world-class powerhouses. There are only 10 players at the same level as us in other war zones. Yang Tian smiled. 10 people? Is that too many? Huang Mao was a little dissatisfied. That's why I say the most. In some theaters, there may be only 2 or 3 players of the same level as us, or even none at all. Yang Tian smiled. Haha, everyone laughed. Each war zone has limited resources and a large number of players. If you want to stand out and gain more resources, you must fight your way through hundreds of millions of players. And there are very few of those people. The 6 people from Yangtian are obviously the kind of people who have stood out. Among them, Yangtian Huang Mao has the highest talent potential. Next is Xiao Fei. In fact, in terms of talent alone, he is not inferior to the previous 2, and because he is younger, his nervous reactions are sometimes faster. It's a pity that the potential of angels is destined to be inferior to that of human kings. Yang Tian is already the human king, and Huang Mao is also very likely to be promoted to the human king. The potential of these 2 people is almost unlimited. The 3 of them, Long Lu, Qin Yulang and Ling, were slightly weaker than the previous 3 regardless of their talent potential. As for the super strong men in the Chinese war zone, there are not just the 6 of them, but also Demon Right Hand, Xiefeng, Sword Emperor, and Suange. There are even Xiao Ayu, Lanyan, Xieying, Shuangguo, Maku, and Zhuyu who can be counted as half. As for God's left hand, if he does not withdraw from the Chinese war zone, he obviously has a place. After cleaning up the loot, the 6 Yangtians continued to move forward. On the way forward, Japanese strongmen kept discovering their presence and jumped out to block them. Unfortunately, the 6 Yangtians easily eliminated them. The 6 Yangtian people started from the World Ocean and headed in the opposite direction to the Spiral Sea area of the Japanese Branch Sea. The islands they passed also went in the opposite direction, from level 180 to level 80. The strong Japanese they encountered along the way became weaker and weaker. The 6 people from Yangtian were all crushing each other, with a sense of domineering. And the news that they came to the Spiral Sea and massacred many powerful Japanese men instantly spread throughout the Japanese war zone. One of the 3 major forces in Japan, the Shinobu. The Ninja Club is extremely powerful. It is an alliance united by 10 guilds, with a leader and 9 deputy guilds. At this time, 4 deputy allies gathered together, namely Kaze Kage Hayate, Mizu Kage Rang, 8 Gate Madman, and Amaterasu Saijao. Humph, are you kidding me? Those people in Muddy Waters are too arrogant, right? If they become invisible or use other methods to sneak into our theater of war in Japan, then that's it. The 8 sect madmen were tall and arrogant. At this moment, they raised their angry eyebrows and shouted, but they are so blatant. If we don't destroy them in the Spiral Sea, then how can we in the Great Japanese War Zone have any face, word? The madman is right. Those guys in Muddy Waters are too arrogant, which has made many players panic. We must kill them as soon as possible to show the majesty of our Great Japanese War Zone. Mizukage Lang added. Wait, you two, don't be too impulsive. Although there is no fighting, the Muddy Waters and the others are running rampant in the Spiral Sea and killing many strong men. They are certainly not weak in strength. We alone may not be their opponents, Fenying Gale said cautiously. I think it's better to discuss this matter with the two bosses first. The two bosses he mentioned were none other than Hokage Kai and Raikage Shun, who were at the top of the world ranking list. Humph, if you increase others' ambition, you will destroy your own prestige, the eight-door madman snorted coldly. Hai Feng, you are thick-skinned, but Quan Gren and I can't afford to embarrass this person. Even a trivial matter will trouble the two bosses, so how can we get along? Mizukage Lang also sneered. The Eight Gates madman and Mizukage rang. These two people have similar personalities and similar smells, as if they were wearing the same pair of pants. When they sang together, they instantly made the Kazekage Hate very angry. Hate, you can make up your own mind. Madman, let's go and meet those guys to see what the level of Chinese strongmen is. Mizukage Lang smiled softly, and left with many members of the ninja club together with Madman Eight Gates. Assholes, these two guys are always so reckless. They are world-class overseas players, Kazekage Hate said angrily on the spot. He is a Japanese theater player. In his eyes, non-Japanese theater players are overseas players. At this moment, Amaterasu Saigeo calmly stood up and chased the Eight Gates madman, Mizukage Nami. Kazekage Hate was startled. Saigeo, what are you doing? Amaterasu Saigeo, my hands are itchy, go and have a look. Kazekage Hate, damn, you guys are all. Kazekage Hate cursed, but also followed. Of course, at the same time, he also contacted Hokage Kai and Raikage Shun. Spiral Sea area, the edge area near the coast. A huge black shadow was reflected on the shimmering sea surface. Going up, tens of thousands of Japanese players gathered in the sky 10 yards above the sea. They stood in the air, which meant that they were all strong men above the Spirit King. In fact, almost all of them were well-known players in the Japanese theater. Now that they gathered together, they obviously didn't want Yang Tian and others to easily invade the Japanese theater. As the Eight-Gate madman said, if Yang Tian and others invaded secretly, it would be fine. But Yang Tian and others were so blatant that they immediately hurt their self-esteem. Everyone, Han Shui and others invaded our great Japanese theater so blatantly, and they simply didn't treat us as human beings. We must teach them a lesson. I hope everyone will put aside some grievances and conflicts in the country for the time being and face the outside world together first, one of the leading players shouted loudly. No problem, let's show the prestige of our Japanese theater first, everyone shouted, unanimous, and reached a consensus. But at this moment, a large group of strong men flew over from the rear, that is, in the Japanese war zone. The most conspicuous among them were the many ninjas led by Kazekage Hate, Mizukage Lang, Eight Gates Madman, and Amaterasu Saigeo. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 597. Even the shinobi department was alarmed. Those people from Han Shui are really proud. The Japanese warriors showed shock on their faces, and retreated to the sides while speaking. The shinobi department walked to the middle naturally. Shuiying Lang and the Eight Gates madman looked at Fenying Jiafeng and Amaterasu Saigeo with a somewhat teasing look, and finally locked on Fenying Jiafeng, and said with a playful smile, why, didn't you say you couldn't come, and you're itching to do it? Don't confuse me with you. Fenying Jiafeng curled his lips. Afterwards, everyone dispersed and stood, looking forward, as if waiting for someone to come. A moment later, 6 streams of light rushed over, and it was the 6 people with Yang Tian Huang Mao. Xiaofei, wow, what a grand ceremony. Huang Mao, we are so proud that so many people welcome us. Then he said cautiously, however, there are too many people. It is still a question whether we can hold on. Yang Tian was happy, you were so jumpy at the beginning, why are you so scared now? But don't worry, there is still Suan Wu. Yang Tian had already summoned Suan Wu. At this time, Suan Wu shrank to a small turtle the size of a palm, lying quietly on Yang Tian's head. Summon the Bone Dragon. Summon the Black Knight. Summon the Nether Assassin. Summon the Vampire Lord. Summon the Three-Headed Dog of Hell. Summon the Skeleton General. Now the dark skills, including the dark summoning skills, are all instant for Yang Tian. In less than a second, Yang Tian summoned 5 holy beasts, bone dragons, and 500 sub-immortal level undead. That's right, Yang Tian also used the skill points to max out the skill summon the Skeleton General. Now he has killed 100 divine beasts for the first time, and he gets 10 skill points for each first kill. Now he has more than 1000 skill points, so many that he can't use them all, so he can use them at will. Let's go. Yang Tian waved his hand, and together with the 5 people with yellow hair, he led the army of undead and rushed straight to the Japanese team. That's the late-stage undead mage, so terrifying, one person is comparable to thousands of troops. In this Japanese team, there is not even a god-level strongman, even the Saint King strongman is very rare, only a few hundred. Most of them are immortal kings and spirit kings. At this time, many immortal kings and spirit kings in the Japanese team looked at the undead army with fear. Because they know that the undead summons will bless the attributes of the undead mage master, and in terms of combat power alone, it is far beyond their own realm. Why are you panicking? In terms of numbers, we have more people here. Tens of thousands of people are afraid of their hundreds of undead. Are you kidding me? You are simply a disgrace to our great Japan war zone, the 8 Gates madman roared. Everyone woke up from their dream. All ranged professions, focus on them and kill them, the 8 Gates madman waved his hand and shouted suddenly. Everyone was led by the shinobi department, and the 8 Gates madman was one of the deputy allies of the shinobi department, so he naturally had some say. Hearing this, all the ranged professions in the group focused their fire. Fire style, Fire Dragon technique. Fire style, Great Fireball technique. Water style, Water Dragon bomb. Water style, Great Waterfall technique. Wind style, Great Storm. Wind style, Air Cannon. Wind Demon Shuriken. Fireball. Explosive Flame technique. Wind Blade. Ice Bomb. Rock Smash. Armor-piercing arrow. Multiple arrows. Rain of arrows. Formless sword chi. 10-mile sword wave. For a moment, countless swords and shadows, magic arrows flew out, causing the sky and the earth to change color, and concentrated on attacking Yang Tian and the other 6 and the army of the undead. Among them, the fire escape, water escape, wind escape, etc., were extremely powerful, and made the 5 yellow-haired people very unfamiliar. After all, this ninja is a special profession exclusive to the Japanese war zone, and there is no such profession in other war zones. Ninjas are classified very widely. Among them, fire escape, water escape, wind escape, lightning escape, earth escape, as well as transformation, instant body, substitute, etc. are all basic skills of ninjas. Escape techniques are all magic damage. Among them, fire escape has fire strength amplification, and lightning escape has light strength amplification. These 2 escape techniques have the highest plasticity. Generally, ninjas only choose to learn 1 or 2 escape techniques, because they do not have enough attribute strength and skill points. If they learn too many and too miscellaneous techniques, they will be lost in the crowd. The bloodline limits of the Sharinan, Mangekyo, Byakugan, and Ice Release, as well as the 8 gates of Dunjia, and even the Samsara Eye and the power of the tailed beasts are all rare skills. Some are as rare as special skills and are extremely difficult to obtain. Only a very small number of powerful ninjas can obtain them. They are the goals that many ninjas pursue throughout their lives. Suan Wu, as the opponent's many skills continued to magnify in his pupils, Yang Tian's face was extremely calm and he called softly. Roar Suanwu suddenly swept down from Yang Tian's head and restored its original size in an instant, as majestic as a small mountain. At the same time, Suanwu summoned the phantom of the divine turtle, which spread over a radius of 100 yards, and instantly enveloped Yang Tian and the 6 people and the army of the undead. Boom, boom, boom. All the skills of the enemy group were smashed on the phantom of the divine turtle, and all were blocked outside and could not produce further effects. All the attacks of the enemy group were borne by Suanwu. Suanwu endured the opponent's concentrated fire and groaned, but the health bar above his head was almost motionless. Suanwu's defense is extremely strong, even divine beasts and god-level strongmen can hardly hurt it, let alone some saint kings, or even immortal kings and spirit kings. What kind of monster is that? Such abnormal defense, such abnormal skills, many Japanese players gasped. Tens of thousands of people focused their fire at the same time, but did not hurt the other party at all. This is really terrifying. Just as Chinese players were surprised by the ninja profession, many Japanese players were also shocked by Suanwu. After all, there was no Suanwu beast in their Japanese war zone. That is Suanwu, one of the 4 legendary beasts in China, known for its strong defense. Of course, there are also knowledgeable Japanese players among the tens of thousands of people, who immediately explained to everyone. One of the 4 legendary beasts, is it stronger than Tanlang? That's not necessarily true, but at least Suanwu's defense is stronger than Tanlang, and much stronger. Many Japanese players were amazed. Sherinan. But at this moment, Tenzao Saigeo's originally dark pupils turned scarlet, with a black dot and 3 Megatama in them. Sherinan is a copy skill. 1 Megatama can copy melee skills. 2 Megatama can copy long-range skills. 3 Megatama, in addition to Mangekyo and Susanoo, Hawkeye, Byakugan, Samsara I can copy all skills, including bloodline skills and stunts. Sherinan, Mangekyo Sherinan, and Susanoo are 3 different skills for ninjas. However, if a ninja wants to learn Mangekyo, he must first learn Sherinan. If he wants to learn Susanoo, he must first learn at least 1 Mangekyo, and Mangekyo also has multiple branches. At this time, Amaterasu Saigo used the 3 Megatama Sherinan to copy the Guardian of the Turtle. In Amaterasu Saigo's skill list, the Sherinan has become the Guardian of the Turtle, which lasts for 10 seconds. In other words, he can use the Guardian of the Turtle within these 10 seconds. After using it, or at the end of 10 seconds, his Sherinan will fall into a cooling time. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 598. At this time, Amaterasu Saigeo could even read the relevant details of the Divine Turtle Guardian, and could have a more comprehensive understanding of this skill. However, Suanwu used the Divine Turtle Guardian, and he thought he had already known a lot about the Divine Turtle Guardian. What's more, at this point, he didn't have time to read the details of the skill carefully. Just because a certain bone dragon under Yang Tian's command had already spewed out a huge blue flame. This high-intensity, large-scale skill is enough to kill hundreds or thousands of Japanese players in an instant. With this thought, Amaterasu Saigeo didn't think too much and directly activated the Divine Turtle Guardian. Roar. With an ancient and vicissitudes of roar, Amaterasu Saigeo's body stimulated a Divine Turtle Phantom, which continued to expand and eventually spread to a radius of 100 yards. Although the range of the Divine Turtle Phantom could not cover all the tens of thousands of people standing in scattered positions, it also covered some people in front, which was enough. Saigeo, you did a good job. The 8 Gates Madman gave a thumbs up and praised Amaterasu Saigeo, the man who learned the Sherinan, one of the 9 vice allies of Shinobi. Wow, standing in this phantom of the Divine Turtle, I feel so safe. Shinobi is Shinobi, it really deserves to be one of the 3 major forces in our Great Japan War Zone. What one of the 3 major forces? In my opinion, it is the strongest force in our Great Japan War Zone. You see, when Han Shui and others invaded, the Emperor Army and Fallen Angel didn't dare to send anyone here. Brother, you are exaggerating a bit, they are all powerful forces in our Great Japan War Zone, there is no need to divide them so finely. In the Phantom of the Divine Turtle, many Japanese strongmen were mysteriously confident and praised each other. Boom! Suddenly, the dark blue flame whistled past and hit the opponent's Phantom of the Divine Turtle. Amaterasu Saigeo was stunned. The surging power in his body made him unable to bear it at all. He vomited blood and flew out instantly, and was killed on the spot by the dark blue flame. As Amaterasu Saigeo fell and died, the Phantom of the Divine Turtle he summoned also disappeared instantly. The whole audience was silent for 3 seconds. What? Amaterasu Saigeo, protected by the Divine Turtle, endured the attack of the dark blue flame alone. In other words, after the dark blue flame killed him instantly, it disappeared and did not harm other Japanese warriors. This was a blessing in disguise for the Japanese team. However, even so, at this time, many Japanese warriors were still a little unbelievable and difficult to accept. What's going on? Isn't the Phantom of the Divine Turtle very defensive? Why can't it even withstand one move from the opponent? What Sharinan, it's just a false reputation. You copied other people's skills, but some people don't have 1% of the power. Isn't it funny? This kind of person is also the deputy ally of the Shinobi Department. The Shinobi Department is nothing more than that. Enough. You still want to fight internally at this time, eat shit. All the Japanese warriors present were extremely shocked, and even some hot-tempered young men directly insulted. The rest of the people, although they didn't say anything, felt very uncomfortable in their hearts. The more optimistic they were before, the more disappointed they were now. They instantly turned from fans to passers-by, and even turned from fans to haters. Puff. Huang Mao Xiaofei, Qin Yu, and others looked at each other, their faces were tight, the corners of their mouths trembled like convulsions, and their shoulders and limbs trembled wildly. Finally, they couldn't hold it anymore and laughed wildly, ha ha, how stupid is that Amaterasu Saigeo. These people have turned into villains. Ha 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 ha. Suinwi raised his dragon head high and laughed loudly, that kid stole my skills, but it's a pity that his body is too thin and can't exert 1/10,000th of my power, ha ha. Suinwi's laughter was like thunder, which made many Japanese strongmen's eardrums hurt and their faces blushed. Being laughed at by an enemy's pet, what else could be more aggrieved than this? Looking at the whole audience, only Yang Tian had a calm face and was calm. He had guessed that this would happen, and he had already laughed in his heart, so he would not waste his expression to laugh again. At this moment, he thought about it, and the 5 bone dragons under his command, as well as the Undead Legion including the Black Knight, suddenly rushed towards the enemy group and launched a large-scale killing. This wave of surprise attack had a miraculous effect. Before the enemy could react, more than 10,000 of the enemy's troops had been killed in seconds. Then, the two sides officially started fighting. Sweeping the army. The yellow-haired man rode the green dragon and rushed towards a large group of enemies. The long spear in his hand swept 180 degrees, and a wave of air swept out. Earth escape earth flow wall. Suddenly, hundreds of huge earth walls appeared out of thin air. But the next moment, bang, bang, bang. Hundreds of earth walls were shattered one after another, which shocked the scene to the extreme. These hundreds of earth flow walls were all earth escape techniques performed by some immortal kings, and even Spirit King ninjas. Their defense was not strong and could not stop the yellow-haired man's attack at all. The yellow-haired man swept through the enemy with one move, not only destroying the hundreds of earth walls, but also killing hundreds of strong men in the enemy group in seconds. The 6 yellow-haired men, the Black Tortoise, the 5 bone dragons, and the Black Knights and other undead legions slaughtered crazily, like destroying withered trees and rotten wood, and instantly killed most of the enemy group. In an instant, the Japanese army of tens of thousands of people was reduced to only a few hundred people, including Fenying Jifen, Shuiying Lang, and Beiman Quangren. Because of Suanwu's divine turtle protection, the enemy group's multiple concentrated fire attacks were all borne by Suanwu. The blood bar above Suanwu's head was almost motionless, and Yangtian's 6 people and the army of undead were still unscathed. Damn it! How strong is that divine turtle phantom? Are you stupid? Don't you understand? It's not the divine turtle phantom that is strong, but Suanwu itself. Didn't you see how funny Tianzhao Saijao summoned the divine turtle phantom just now? Suanwu is strong, but the divine turtle phantom is also a powerful protective skill. Because of the divine turtle phantom, we seem to be able to only attack Suanwu, but Suanwu has high defense and thick blood, and we can't beat him at all. Run away, what's the point of fighting? We had tens of thousands of people just now, and it's only been a few seconds. Now there are only a few hundred people left. The remaining hundreds of Japanese strongmen all complained bitterly. They no longer wanted to fight, but fled in a panic. Only then did they realize that sometimes, not everyone can stand out. The 6 from Muddy Waters were too strong. No matter how many of them there were, they were no match for them. I'm afraid only the super strong men in the Japanese theater, such as the demon girl Nanami, Senbon Blood Eagle, Miyamoto Takeshi, Big Boss Luo, Hokage Kai, Raikage Shun, etc., could fight against them. Watching many enemies flee, Yang Tian and others did not chase them. After all, there was no point in bullying them. After this battle, the 5 yellow-haired men instantly realized that they were already world-class strong men. Their mentality changed, and their style improved. If a rookie takes the initiative to provoke, they will crush him, but they will not take the initiative to bully him, which is too low class. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 599. As everyone retreated, only Fenying Jifen, Shuiying Lang, and Beiman Quangren were left in the Japanese army. Fenying Jifen was furious and tapped their noses and cursed, "You 2 bastards, what did I say? I told you not to be impulsive. Now you are embarrassed." Shuiying Lang and Beiman Quangren also looked very ugly. This time they took the initiative to step forward, but not only did they not achieve any results, but they were beaten up. In this battle, they have damaged the reputation of the shinobi department in the Japanese war zone. Wow! At this time, the duration of Suanwu's divine turtle protection ended, and the divine turtle phantom covering Yangtian's 6 people, Suanwu, and the army of undead also disappeared. Has it finally cooled down? Alung, Jifen, fight with me again. Beiman, open. I saw Beiman Quangren let out a long roar, and a surge of breath burst out from his body. At this time, his skin turned dark red, his short hair stood up, his eyes were wide open, and he had a demon-like aura. This 8 Gates of Dungia is an amplification buff skill. Unlike the dragon transformation, it has 8 stages, namely 1 gate, 2 gates, 8 gates. The later the stage, the stronger the amplification effect. The first 6 gates are fine. The 7th gate is almost as strong as the dragon transformation. It also lasts for 3 minutes, and then it will fall into weakness for up to 5 minutes. The 8th gate also lasts for 3 minutes, and then death. Of course, in the game, the death of the player is just a level drop, and can be resurrected at any time. If it is in reality, after opening the 8 gates, it is probably real death. This buff skill with such a terrible price has a very strong amplification effect. The 8 gates last for 3 minutes, during which all attributes of the player are at 200%. It is much stronger than the dragon transformation. Now, the 8 Gates madman has soared to 10 billion with the realm of the Holy King. And his HP is only about 900 million. Undoubtedly, even the strongest skills will be affected by the realm. If the 8 Gates madman is a god-level strongman, the effect will be completely different if he opens the 8 gates. No problem. Fenying Jiafeng and Shuiying Lang both nodded solemnly. Fenying Jiafeng was a little unhappy, but since the 8 Gates madman has done this, he can't say much. Anyway, let's fight to the death. Swish. The 8 Gates madman nodded, staring at Yang Tian with his eyes as angry as a demon god, holding a giant sword in the air and drawing a dark red air wave, and quickly rushed towards Yang Tian. This guy is actually a ninja who mainly practices physical skills, maybe he also practices escape techniques. But since he mainly uses physical output, the power of his escape techniques is obviously not that strong. 8 Gates of Dungia, 192 levels. Yang Tian looked at the 8 Gates madman with a little interest. Compared with the 5 yellow-haired people, Yang Tian has lived 2 lives after all, and he obviously knows the existence of ninjas and 8 Gates of Dungia. This 8 Gate madman is so strong, but he is only level 192 now, which is a big problem. This means that this guy often opens the 8 gates, and he will lose level every time, which is why his level cannot match his strength. Looking at the 8 Gate madman rushing towards him, Yang Tian's mind moved, and his army of undead rushed forward. 5 of the bone dragons roared, and spewed out dark blue flames, bombarding the 8 Gate madman in 5 different directions. Wind escape gale technique. The 8 Gate madman knew that with his HP, he could never withstand any damage from the dark blue flames, so he turned around and dodged quickly. Under the acceleration of Fenying Gale's wind escape, his speed was unimaginable at this time. Wherever he passed, there was a dark red air wave. He actually dodged all the 5 dark blue flames at a speed that was almost twice that of Sci-fi, the 8-winged angel, and survived in the gap. The 5 dark blue flames, though they did not hit the 8 Gate madman, further blasted towards Fenying Jiafeng and Shuiying Lang. This undoubtedly reflects the large attack range of the dark blue flames, and also further reflects the fast movement speed of the 8 Gate madman, who can dodge such a large-scale skill by just moving fast. Substitution technique. Just when the huge dark blue flame was about to hit Fenying Jiafeng and Shuiying Lang, the two suddenly turned into a piece of wood stake. Boom! The dark blue flame whizzed past, blasting the 2 pieces of wood stakes into pieces. However, the figures of Fenying Jiafeng and Shuiying Lang were already 100 yards away at this time. Whirlwind kick. The 8 Gate madman held the void with one hand, and pressed the giant sword on his back with the other hand. His legs suddenly spun sharply, instantly stirring up a ball of dark red gale, sweeping wildly around. Puff, puff, puff. The dark red gale was extremely violent. Wherever it passed, the army of undead exploded and died. Including the 5 bone dragons, all of them fell. The 8 Gates madman at this time was undoubtedly extremely terrifying. In terms of combat power alone, it was more than 3 times higher than that of ordinary god-level strongmen. The bone dragons under Yang Tian's command were only at the level of holy beasts, so how could they resist? Such strong combat power, such a fast speed. Xiao Fei looked at the 8 Gates madman, and his hands itched with excitement. Afterwards, he took the dagger and took the initiative to rush out. Water escape mirror image of water. Shuiying Lang waved his hands slightly, and a water surface suddenly appeared in the void under the feet of the 8 Gates madman. In the water, the reflection of the 8 Gates madman naturally appeared. What was strange was that the reflection actually separated from the water and stood with the 8 Gates madman. The body shape was exactly the same. Until then, Yang Tian and others finally figured it out. 8 Gate madman, wind shadow gale, water shadow wave, with 8 Gate madman as the main force, and the other 2 are just auxiliary. Of course, Wind shadow gale and water shadow wave are also very powerful, but they cannot be compared with the madman in the 8-gate state now. At this time, Xiao Fei rushed out and faced two 8-gate madmen at the same time. The 8-gate madman was as fast as the wind, circling around Xiao Fei, and the dark red air waves were everywhere he passed, and his speed was extremely fast. And Xiao Fei's pair of smart eyes chased the opponent's after image and flew around non-stop, and every nerve in his body was tense. It was obvious that the power of the 8-gate madman had made him feel pressured. Although he knew that he could easily kill both the 8-gate madman and the water mirror. But the martial arts in the world are fast and unbreakable, and it is very difficult for him to hit him. At the same time, the opponent's combat power is also very strong. Even if he is an 8-winged angel with HP breaking 2 trillion, he may not be able to withstand it. As Xiao Fei thought about this, the 8-gates madman did not dare to act rashly. Both sides knew that the victory or defeat was just a matter of seconds, but they did not dare to take the initiative, as if they were waiting for the other party to make a mistake. The scene was deadlocked for a while. "Heh, Xiao Fei, this kid, it's rare to be so focused." Yang Tian smiled slightly, not in a hurry to make a move. If he made a move, he would naturally beat the 8-gates madman. But now Xiao Fei rarely met an opponent, so letting him practice was undoubtedly a better choice. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 600. The 8-gates madman and the water mirror seemed to finally be unable to bear it and suddenly moved. It is worth mentioning that this water mirror was summoned by Shui Yinglang, so it was controlled by Shui Yinglang. Obviously, Shui Yinglang has developed a tacit understanding with the 8-gates madman by using this trick. The water mirror he controls can almost synchronize all the actions of the 8-gates madman. At this time, the 8-gates madman and the water mirror suddenly took a step forward. Although it was only one step, it was as fast as the wind. Xiao Fei's pupils contracted rapidly, and his nerves tightened. A layer of fine sweat was already covered on his smooth forehead. Looking at Xiao Fei's actions, the 8-gates madman curled his lips and seemed to say something. Instant body technique. Breakwave slash. Suddenly, the 8-gates madman and the water mirror appeared in front of Xiao Fei, each raising a giant sword and slashing at Xiao Fei's head. At the same time, the words of the 8-gates madman just landed, "Awesome, in this situation, I can't trick you out of your skills." Obviously, the 8-gates madman and the water mirror took a step forward, just a cover for attacking. Although it was a cover, because he was too fast, if he kept moving, he could get close to Xiaofei in an instant, which would give people a huge pressure. If Xiaofei had a slight misjudgment at that time, he would use skills to resist the counterattack. But because it was a cover, the 8-gates madman and the water mirror would really only take one step and then stop. That would mean that Xiaofei's skills would hit nothing. Afterwards, the 8-gates madman and the water mirror burst out and could take Xiaofei down. The above is the script written in the mind of the 8-gates madman. It's a pity that he was as cunning as a fox, but he couldn't trick Xiaofei. So, he had no choice but to hand over the instant body technique and rush into Xiaofei in an instant. Because he was unfamiliar with the profession of ninja, on this basis, when he saw the 8-gates madman and the water mirror instantly rushed in front of him and raised his sword to cut down, Xiao Fei's pupils clearly flashed a trace of panic. But the terrifying thing was that he actually reacted instantly. Sword dance. Xiao Fei suddenly spun sharply, and a circle of fierce wind was stirred up around his body, which simultaneously resolved the attacks of the 8-gates madman and the water mirror. The young man's nerve reaction was astonishing. "Hiss, I'm going, old man, if it was you just now, could you react?" Looking at Xiao Fei's extreme reaction and wonderful operation, Huang Mao took a breath and opened his mouth wide enough to stuff an egg. Immediately, he asked Yang Tian. "Well, it should be possible." Yang Tian's face trembled, and he said a little guilty. He himself was a little uncertain, but if he was a few years younger, he was sure that he could do it. After all, he is now a 26-year-old man. It has been 4 years since he graduated at the age of 22. Although he is an awakener and a saint king, his body functions are still very strong, but his nerve reaction is definitely not comparable to that of a real young man. He has always said that Xiao Fei is extremely talented, and that is not a joke. You can't do it. Huang Mao curled his lips. Can you? Yang Tian glared, and the two old men started to quarrel with each other. Yang Tian Huang Mao's nerve reaction is a little weaker than Xiao Fei, but this does not mean that the strength of the two is weaker than Xiao Fei. After all, nerve reaction alone cannot represent a person's strength. Moreover, Yang Tian Huang Mao's reaction is also very fast. Under normal circumstances, it is not slower than Xiao Fei, but it is just a little weaker in extreme reaction. And extreme reaction actually rarely has a chance to play. Different personal professions, different characteristics, and different directions of expertise. For example, if Yang Tian fights the 8-gate madman, several long-range and large-scale skills are thrown out, and the latter can't bear it at all. Yang Tian fights the 8-gate madman, under normal circumstances, he will not fall into danger at all. While the yellow-haired man was mocking each other, Xiao Fei and the 8-gate madman were still fighting. After the 8-gate madman and the mirror image of water's attacks were resolved by Xiao Fei's sword dance, they were slightly startled, and then they attacked again suddenly. The 8-gate madman and the mirror image of water had the same attributes. Their movement speed was twice that of Xiao Fei, and their attack speed was even faster. Xiao Fei could hardly resist the next attack of the 8-gate madman and the mirror image of water. It was no longer a technical operation, but a pure speed crushing. Tiger kick. The 8-gate madman and the mirror image of water each kicked Xiao Fei with a whip kick. Bang, bang. With the two muffled sounds that sounded almost at the same time, Xiao Fei's back arched, and the whole person jumped back like a cannonball. At the same time, Xiao Fei's HP of up to 2 trillion was instantly reduced to only a trace. Haha, you're done, let's get rid of one first. The 8-gate madman laughed wildly, and together with the water mirror image, he quickly rushed towards Xiao Fei, who was flying backwards. Because the speed was too fast, they caught up in the blink of an eye. Xiao Fei smiled bitterly, he knew that he was dead this time. But at this moment, Xiao Fei was startled. He found that a white light descended in front of him, and then, a netherworld assassin suddenly appeared, and it was Yang Tian who used the flash. The 8-gate madman was also startled, and then he grinned, and suddenly slashed at Yang Tian with a sword. The action of the water mirror image was naturally synchronized with him. However, facing the joint attack of the 8-gate madman and the water mirror image, Yang Tian did not move, and instantly triggered the immovable as a mountain, and the golden red domineering body light appeared on his body. Bang, bang. Two giant swords slashed at Yang Tian at the same time, but Yang Tian did not move. Instead, the white stripe of the bone shield on his head lost half of its strength in an instant. Tyrant. The joint attack of himself and the mirror image of water did not kill the other party, which made Bayman Madman somewhat unbelievable. This series of events happened too suddenly. When Bayman Madman fully reacted, it was too late. Lion's roar. Yang Tian burst out a deep lion's roar. The golden sound wave visible to the naked eye instantly penetrated the bodies of Bayman Madman and Water Mirror Image, killing them instantly. In fact, the damage of Yang Tian's lion's roar was not high. It was a pity that Bayman Madman and Water Mirror Image only had about 900 million HP. The lion's roar killed them instantly, and it was more than enough. Brother Shui. Xiao Fei shouted at Yang Tian, with an inexplicable expression. He wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. Oh, don't be discouraged. That guy is a bit tricky. If I were you, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do better. Besides, that guy will only be more tricky after he becomes a god. Yang Tian sighed, which was a disguised way of comforting Xiaofei's emotions. Xiaofei has performed very well, there is really nothing to say. The 8th gate of the 8 gates of Dunjia is much more terrifying than the dragon transformation, but the price is death. Yang Tian was able to beat the 8 gates madman mainly because Yang Tian's methods were strange and endless. Compared with Yang Tian, Xiaofei's skills and methods seemed very simple. Thank you Guan Tao Gongsun Cheng for the 10,000 coin reward. The boss is generous, the boss has a good reputation, and the boss is handsome. In addition, it is finally 600 chapters. It's not easy. What do you think?